is Zach Welch, and I chose Walt Disney for my Select Leadership project. I chose Walt Disney because I grew up watching Disney films, and I've always had a fascination with his life. I remember doing a project in middle school on Walt Disney, and I've just always been interested in how he built this empire. Um, so starting with the history of Walt Disney. Walt Disney was born in Chicago in 1901 and died in 1966. He spent much of his childhood in Marshland, Missouri, living in a small American town, was said to leave a big impression on Walt Disney. During this time, Disney was free to wander the open countryside around Marshland, and Marshland was said to be Walt's inspiration for Main Street USA and Disneyland. Because of his father's constantly unsuccessful entrepreneurial efforts, the family moved to Kansas City in 1910. There, Walt's father purchased a paper route and made Walt and his brother Roy deliver papers every morning before dawn. They were never paid for their work because their father considered the paper route to be payment for their room and board. During this crucial time in his life is where Walt learned his work ethic. Disney was exposed to the entertainment industry early in life when he participated in amateur productions at a local theater. In 1916, he decided he wanted to be a cartoonist. Walt's father had no support for his dream, and that is when Walt's journey began. Walt's lack of support from his father came to be in his favor. The hard work and tenacity he needed to go after his dreams built his character, then instilled him with a determination that never died. Walt Disney is seen as an innovator, a dreamer, and an exceptional leader. From his palette of skills and qualities, he exemplifies numerous characteristics of leaderships, such as vision, communication skills, and people skills, boldness, and a humble heart. He was often referred to as a perfectionist, inspirational, and fearless by his friends and colleagues. Walt himself has explained his formula for having leadership vision as starting with one simple stepping stone. I dream. If we don't dream or desire to have a vision for something better for ourselves or others, then what is it that gets us out of bed every morning? He then continues on by saying, I test my dreams against my beliefs. In this case, he was making sure his dreams were consistent with everything he stood for, such as his beliefs, core values, and integrity. Next, he explains, I dare to take risks. He would act boldly and bet on himself to win. There were a few times in Walt's life where he would bet his entire studio on producing an animated film, and due to his vision, charisma, and leadership style, he repeatedly came out on top. Lastly, he said, execute my vision to make those dreams come true. Walt would focus all his time, talents, energy, and resources to make his dreams a reality. To create memorable animated films and later on the first ever theme park, Walt had to emulate his legendary films and be animated in the leadership sense. There have been stories told by some early Disney Studios employees explaining how Walt would demonstrate his ideas for a new animated film. He'd gather everyone together in the studio, then act out the entire movie sequence to personally show what he envisioned the story to be and give his artist direction. He brought the story to life, and in doing so, he lit the path of creativity and opened his employees' minds to possibilities. We may not be illustrating for animated cartoons, but we can each be as lively, energetic, and enthusiastic about our work as Walt was. He strived to bring positive energy into the workplace and refused to live in a watered-down, repetitive environment. Then you're one step closer to being like Walt. Disney brought Mickey Mouse to life on film starting in the late 1920s and earned his way to the top of his industry. But it wasn't easy. Bankers rejected the concept of his famous mouse over 300 times before one said yes. Even with the success of Mickey Mouse, Disney still faced challenges in keeping his business afloat. Not only was he overworked, but tensions with his employer, who eventually stole his longtime and best animator from him, led to Disney having a nervous breakdown. After taking some time off with his wife to recuperate, Disney returned with a bold new idea. He would develop a full-length animation feature, which he'd call Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It would become a huge success in the box office, yet the films that followed, like Pinocchio, Fantasia, and Bambi, would end up being duds. If Disney didn't already have enough burdens to shoulder, More were on the way. His animators went on strike at the start of World War II, contributed to his mounting debt that ran upwards of $4 million. After the war was over, his company was slow to rebuild, but during this time, Disney learned to diversify his business by turning to television, despite pressures from the film studios to stay on the big screen. His gamble paid off with the success of TV shows like The Mickey Mouse Club and Davy Crockett. Disney was able to harness enough capital to launch the biggest venture yet, Disneyland. Disneyland opened on July 17, 1955 in Anaheim, California. Like most of Disney's enterprises, it got off to a rocky start. Forged tickets were bringing more visitors than anticipated, heading to a line that trailed 7 miles long. With temperatures soaring up to 100 degrees, the new asphalt was melting women's high heels, drinking fountains were defunct, and some of the rides malfunctioned. Critics blasted the opening of Disneyland, calling it Black Sunday, but as always, Disney's tenacity and perseverance turned his latest endeavor around. Disneyland became a colossal success, clearing out his financial debts, and to this day operates as an integral part of his business empire. Commenting on the benefits of failure, Disney once said, "All the adversity I've had in my life, all the troubles and obstacles have strengthened me. You may not realize it when it happens, but a kick in the teeth may be the best thing in the world for you." Above all, what truly makes a great leader is someone who is willing to serve. Walt served in countless ways. To name a few, he personally took a coworker's reluctant paraplegic friend to Disneyland. He rolled out the red carpet and showed his guests all the attractions as well as front row seats to every show. All this just so a disabled friend could enjoy the park without feeling left out in his wheelchair. He became a father figure to his secretary and gave her away at her wedding. Additionally, he paid for the entire reception. A gardener at the Disney Studios left some tools in an empty parking space, and a producer chewed him out for it. Walter noticed this from his window, went down and said, "Don't you ever treat any of my employees like that. This man has been with me longer than you have, so you'd better be good to him." To his employees, Walt was not just a leader, he was their servant and defender. Walt was also a salesman, possibly one of the greatest salesmen the world has ever known. You can have a dream, but if you can't sell the dream, then it won't come true. Dreams take people, money, and resources to become a reality. Fortunately for Walt, his incredible people skills allowed him to do just that. One day, Walt attended a board meeting for a company that he wanted to sponsor his Autopia attraction. He convinced the board that it was a great investment, and they wrote him a large check right then and there. After all the shaking hands and left, one board member who had been so drawn to Walt's love and enthusiasm for the project said, "I have a question. What did we just buy?" Scenes like this play over and over again throughout Walt's career. Walt was always conscious of his legacy, delegating more and more responsibility and reorganizing his various companies to ensure they would thrive after he was gone. At the time of his relatively sudden death from lung cancer in 1966, he was well into the planning of Walt Disney World in Florida and spent his last night alive feverishly going through his ideas with his brother Roy. He had also begun planning for Cal Arts, which is now a thriving arts university, and which was to be Walt's most significant legacy. To this day, Walt's innovations with regards to the day-to-day operation of his theme parks have set the standard for customer service all around the world. Cast members in all of Disney parks around the world continue to be trained in the Disney philosophy and must maintain very strict show quality standards. Their uniforms are timeless in style, many being similar to those used in 1955, and Walt's belief that the parks would never be finished has rung true, as they are constantly new lands and innovations being redeveloped all over the world. His legacy is felt in many ways, and he can still truly be identified as one of the most influential figures in the 20th and 21st centuries. It is impossible now to conceive of a world without Disney's overwhelming influence, all of which started with a mouse. Thanks for listening.